Hi you guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are in Proverbs 28, so grab your pen, your highlighter, and this time grab your tea. Sorry coffee drinkers, I'm trying to drink tea now. No, I love coffee so much. I am loyal to coffee, but tea is so good in the afternoon. I'm loving some tea lately. So we're gonna get started. So hope your day's been going well. It's been honestly a really productive, peaceful day at the same time, which sometimes that is a tough combination. But today, because I was gonna say today at the same time, today, it was very peaceful. Okay, so we are in chapter 28 of Proverbs. I'm reading ESV translation. Feel free to grab whichever translation you prefer. And we're gonna get started. Verse 1. The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. So lately, I've been wanting to focus so much more on Jesus instead of the works of the enemy, right? Focusing on the light, because that's our true hope. And in face of adversity or things that might, bring on fear, it's important to remember that he who is in you is greater than he who is in this world, and that they bow down to Jesus. All of the evil have to bow down to Jesus, and so this first verse is what it reminded me of. The wicked flee when no one pursues. Like, they really have no power. The righteous are as bold as a lion. We really have nothing to fear when we know our true identity. When we know who our God is, we understand where things are on the levels of superiority. We understand the level of power and dominion that we have, that creatures have, that all the things are lined up on this scale of power, and God sits on the throne, and he is in charge of everything. And that brings me comfort to know that. And I never want to be so focused on what's not going right, or we want to focus on Jesus more because we have the light, and we don't want that to dim because we're focused on the works of the enemy and all those things. It's good to have that knowledge, but at the end of the day, I bow to one God. I only bow to Yahweh. I will only bow to Yahweh. And so nothing else, no fear tactic or nothing will make me bow down to that. I bow down to Yahweh. And that's what it reminded me of. When a land transgresses, it has many rulers, but with a man of understanding and knowledge, its stability will long continue. A poor man who oppresses the poor is a beating rain that leaves no food. Those who forsake the law praise the wicked, but those who keep the law strive against them. There is no in between in this world. And you might be, the lost are lost. They are lost. It's kind of one of those things where the greatest deception is for the lost to believe there is no enemy and there is no hell. That is the best deception that they've bought into. That's so genius, honestly, because they believe they're being influenced by themselves, like they are in full control of their life, but they're not. And even if you're kind of on the fence about God, right? There is no being on the fence once judgment day comes. It's either you are for God or you're not God. And I love how God is so patient and kind to wait for us. We are stubborn people, we are selfish beings, and it took me a while to come to Christ, even after already having encountered him in my previous life. I still wasn't ready. I waited. But there was a moment that I was ready, and he knew I would be ready. And he's so kind, he's so kind to not, to still give me time. And, we we need to live in this world with like a healthy urgency, of course, of spreading the gospel and bringing truth to people that need it, and people that are suffering and don't know God, and truly what they're desiring is God. That's important. I wish I had accepted Jesus way before. I wish I had accepted him as a child, because it would have spared me so much pain and so many questions. But but I feel like God uses that as my testimonies so that I can have like a good perspective and view of when I see someone in pain and they don't know Jesus, I am going to want to bring the medicine to them. I'm not going to withhold that if I know what it is that they need. And so thank God that he uses what he knows will touch my heart in a way that creates, momentum for me to actually do something about it. So it's cool. Nothing is a waste. But yeah, there is no not following God. You're either under the influence of the enemy or you're following God and you're in God's kingdom. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand it completely. Because what is just on your scale? Just for a person outside of God is going to be based off of what they find. It's based off of their truth of what's just. So truly, if you don't have the truth, you're not going to understand. Okay? Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. The one who keeps the law is a son with understanding, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers it for him who is generous to the poor. If one turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. This is reminding me of obedience. It's like if God is asking you to live a certain lifestyle, which he is, absolutely, and you're thinking, no, I'm kind of very attached to my life at the club. I want to do that. And I will still read my Bible, and I'm still going to go to church, but 6 days out of the week, I'm not going to include God in anything. Absolutely not. Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers it for him who is generous to the poor. Verse 9, if no one turns his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. So it's like, okay, back to my point. It's hypocritical. You can't be double-minded. You can't be living two lives. It's confusing to people that are even witnessing your faith and then witnessing what you do in private or what you do when you want to relax. What does that look like? It's contradictory when you say one thing and do another, when you believe one thing and do another, because then it's confusing, A lot of people, they won't have access to a Bible. They will never come to a point in their life where they actually read the Bible. And so your life is their Bible. And when you express your faith, but you're living a certain way, it's going to be very confusing. They're going to have a different Jesus painted in their minds. A Jesus that tolerates sin, that tolerates addiction, that is okay with lowering your standards and capitalizing on all these things that are not of God. Verse 10, whoever misleads the upright into an evil way will fall. Okay, that's funny. I was just talking about this. So whoever misleads the upright into an evil way will fall into his own pit. So it's like make a decision of what you believe and then have your actions align with that. Because if you are hanging out with Christians, but you're leading them to sin because that's your current lifestyle and you've accepted a life that is below the calling that God has for you, then you are causing people to stumble, and that's not good. The blameless will have a godly inheritance. A rich man is wise in his own eyes, but a poor man who has understandings will find him out. Again, pride. It distorts your view of reality. You're not seeing things clearly. You are not under submission to God, which then is dangerous for your soul and for the things you experience and the life you create. That's dangerous without God. But one who has understanding will find him out, will know, will have the discernment, will be able to see that spirit in that person immediately. When the righteous triumph, there is great glory, but when the wicked rise, people hide themselves. Whoever conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy. Wow. Don't hide. Do not hide. That's why it's important not only to give your life to Jesus, but to be discipled. We can't do this life alone. Be discipled by people that follow Jesus and that are okay with being held accountable and having a life of accountability and discipline. Because when you try to hide all the things, you are not growing. That sin is creating darkness in your life, and the lack of confession keeps you trapped. And it's those who confess will obtain mercy. There is healing that happens when you confess, when you're truly repentant and you confess. There's that opens a door for healing and for God to come in, because you're no longer have like a lock on. You've unlocked it to allow God in. When you hide things, you hide them in the dark. You don't want darkness in you. You want all of light in you. That's why it's important. Blessed is the one who fears the Lord always, but whoever hardens his heart will fall into calamity. Yeah, harden your heart and you're going to start leaning on your own self, which is not great. It's not great. You need the guidance of God. Like a roaring lion or a charging bear is a wicked ruler over a poor people. A ruler who lacks understanding is a cruel oppressor, but he who hates unjust gain will prolong his days. If one is burdened with the blood of another, he will be a fugitive until death. Let no one help him. Whoever walks in integrity will be delivered, but he who is crooked in his ways will suddenly fall. Integrity. You walk in truth. You have good character. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits will have plenty of poverty. So whoever works his land, the thing God gave you, you're going to have prosperity. You're going to have plenty. But those who follow worthless pursuits, like all the little things that intrigue you, that are appealing, that are not in the will of God, nothing good is going to grow from it. You're just wasting your time and keeping yourself far away from what God actually has for you. So whatever he has shown you to steward, make sure you're stewarding that. It might be harder in the moment, but it brings so many blessings. Verse 20, a faithful man will, here we go. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but whoever hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. You're in a hurry. I just need to get this end result. I need the money. That's your motivator. That cannot be your motivator. Jesus has to be your motivator. There's nothing wrong with making money. You have to survive. There's nothing wrong with building wealth. God gives wisdom to people to do that. But there is something wrong in having that being a motivator for you. That cannot be your treasure in your heart. That's why God talks about tithing, because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And you want to be detached from things of this world. Because when you're attached to the things of this world, it keeps you in bondage. It keeps you looking down at the world, and you can't see the heavenly realities around you because you're yoked to something that isn't godly. To show partiality is not good, but for a piece of bread a man will do wrong. A stingy man hastens after wealth. Here you go. And does not know that poverty will come upon him, because his priorities are not right. Whoever rebukes a man will afterward find more favor than he who flatters with his tongue. We were talking about this yesterday. It is better to be honest in love if it's going to save someone from something bad. People care way too much about their image. You need to have goodwill for people. That's how God views us. He has goodwill for us. That's why he's patient with us. That's why he continues to pick us up every time we fall. Okay, he has goodwill for us. Whoever robs his father or his mother and says that is no transgression is a companion to a man who destroys, because that's a lie. A greedy man stirs up strife, but the one who trusts in the Lord will be enriched. You will be enriched, full of life. Guaranteed. Guaranteed if you live your life for God. Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered. Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered. Whoever gives to the poor will not want, but he who hides his eyes will get many a curse. Because when you give to the poor, you will not want. What does that mean? It means your heart isn't attached to what you're giving. It's attached to the Father. So you're not going to want that back. You're not counting that. You're filled with life. You are filled with everything you need. And God blesses you so much more. When the wicked rise, people hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Wow. When they perish, the righteous increase. Wow. That's what happens. The more evil this world gets, the more people wake up, because it's proof. It's proof that there has to be something more. It's proof. We're seeing it happen today of people waking up and finding Jesus and going to church. It's amazing. So that is all. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.